It is Monday morning and today we're making a craft. So today what we're making is, you know those clay wall decorations that have the handprints of your baby on them? We're gonna try to make that, but with foam clay instead. So I got this from Arda Wigs Canada. It's Lumin's Workshop's ultralight foam clay. This is a 150 gram tub in white, and it's 150 grams now, but it'll dry to about a third of the original weight, which is really, really cool. And that means that it'll be super lightweight to hang on. It'll be super light. Yeah, it's a tractor, buddy. It'll be super lightweight to hang on the wall, and it'll be unbreakable. So if it does fall, nothing's really going to happen. It'll just fall and that'll be it. And it should be easy to make. So I've never worked with this before, but wish me luck. I think that it's going to go really well. So what you're going to need to make this is foam clay. I don't know if we'll need the whole tub yet, but we're going to find out. You're going to need a piece of paper to make a template. You're going to need a rolling pin, or I can't find mine, so I'm just using this glass bottle. And some pens for your template, and a knife and a ruler as well, just to help shape the foam. And then once it's dry, we're also probably going to need some paint and maybe some other things to decorate it. I'm also using this mat. It's just a cutting mat to give me a smooth surface to work on. So here I am making a template so that my shape is nice and even. I wanted it to be a diamond shape because I thought that that would look cute, and I didn't want to just eyeball a shape like that. So I'm just measuring it out on card paper and cutting it out so that I can use it as a template when I'm forming my foam. Now, I realize now that what would have been easier was to use a cake mold, so almost like a giant cookie cutter. That way I could have just put the foam clay inside the mold and pushed it to the edges, and it would have been easier to push out any air bubbles and to keep the shape really nice and even and uniform. So originally I put my foam clay on the paper, but I realized that foam clay actually sticks to paper pretty well. So I decided to instead form it on my cutting mat and then use the template to kind of check in to make sure that the shape was the right shape that I wanted. Looking back, I also realized that if I had covered the paper shape with plastic wrap, it probably would have avoided any sticky problems. So if you're doing this project, that's another way to do it as well. Okay, so here we are trying to get the handprints on. It took, I think, 3 tries in total, mainly because foam clay is really squishable. It almost reminds me of marshmallow fluff in a way. So obviously a 2-year-old, if you put their hand in there, the first thing they're going to want to do is just squish it. So it took a couple tries for him to understand that we wanted a nice, open hand that wasn't squishing the foam clay. I realized on my 3rd try that going palm first was the easiest way to go. And then afterwards, I used my own fingers just to define where his palm indentation started. The newborn was a little bit easier to do, but newborns also tend to have their fists closed all the time. So that was a little bit tricky, but we pulled it off. Okay, so we just did the handprints and now we have set it aside to cure. I'm not sure how long it'll take because I just don't know. I've never worked with this before, but I can say that it was really cool, really, really malleable. And when inevitably we had to do, I think 3 or 4 handprints to stop my toddler from, hi Felix, to stop my toddler from squishing it all in his hands because it is very squishable, kind of like slime, but more body. When we inevitably had to do that, it was really easy to reform in the shape that we wanted. So now I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna let it cure, and then we're gonna see how it looks when it's done. All right, so I let this cure for several days. And now it's looking pretty good. You can see the fingerprints pretty nicely, but the rest is looking a little bit bumpy. So I'm gonna try to sand it and see if I can just get it a little bit smoother. So sanding was super easy. It took about 10 minutes. Oh, hi Rupert. It took about 10 minutes, and now it's a lot easier to see sort of like what is handprint and what is not. You can see there are like little air bubbles that I was not able to completely smooth out because I would have had to sort of take it down too much. But I think that could probably be avoided in the future just by kind of kneading the clay really well and making sure that, you know, trying to see if you can pop any air bubbles as they arise. But the good news is it kind of does actually even look like clay, even though it's super, super light. So sanding it down was super easy. I started with about 180 grit, and then I took it down a little bit to a finer grit just to make it smoother. I think now what I'm going to do is seal it, and then I'm going to add a little bit of paint. I'm going to put the kids' names on it, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Excuse the messy desk. I don't think I need to film the sealing process, but I'm just going to be using Liquitex Matte Medium and one of these dollar store foam brushes, and I'm just going to be covering this with one, probably 2 coats. In the end, I decided to go with 2 coats of sealant, and I'm happy with the results. This is a little embarrassing. I didn't realize that my messy bun would be in the shot like the whole time that I was painting out the outlines of the hands, so my apologies, but basically all I'm doing here is using a high flow acrylic paint and going in and just defining the edges and a little bit of the ridges on their hands. I wanted it to look a little bit like a comic book, and I'm pleased with how it turned out. Finally, I just wrote out their names in a pencil in case I made some kind of mistake, and then I outlined it with the high flow acrylic paint again, and that was the final touch for these handprints. Okay, so here it is. So there's the front and there's the back. I just did a really quick hot glue job where I put a gob of hot glue and then I put some ribbon down and just made it go into the hot glue so it was totally encased. That's all I think that this will need because it is so lightweight. So I'm going to hang it up and then you'll be able to see the final result. Okay, here it is, the final product. So here is Charlie and Felix, their little hands immortalized forever. So 2-year-old and about 2-month-old. And this was all made with the Lumin's foam clay from Arda Wigs Canada. It was extremely easy and it's really lightweight. So this was a really fun, easy project, and it looks really cute on the wall of my kitchen.